Okay. Well, great. You know what? Thank you for all of you. It's always a pleasure that you take time out of your day for us, and we love to bring this content to you. And today we're talking about the digital mortgage broker, and where we're going with that. And with me on at this webinar is Christina's not on the screen here, but she's the most important because she's the moderator and helping and keeping us all together, and really actually the mastermind who put all of this together. She did all the work. So Christina Ray is here, VP of Marketing at Lendesk. So hello, Christina. And back up one. There we go. Yeah, and I think my friend, my colleague, we've been friends for a long time, podcast co-host, webinar co-host. I mean, I could probably say a lot of other things about him, but like we said, we're keeping it on a family level here. So James Loewen. James, why don't you say a couple words? Hello.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm stoked. I mean, Greg, let's be, impactful without being inconvenient. I think we got a lot to talk about. Let's get going.
Yeah, okay, cool. And also with me is Frank Bissett, who's Director of Sales at Lendesk. So Frank, hello.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining. So yeah, I've been having the pleasure of working with Greg here for a long time, and today we're excited to showcase, how it's going to be beneficial to have a modern experience for your business and regarding your clients.
Yeah, great. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Greg Williamson. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Lendesk. So let's get rolling. First of all, we're going to talk about why you need to be in a digital client experience in 2022 and beyond. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what are the components, what are the most important parts of a digital client experience and why that's important. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how do you take all this knowledge and all of the different things that are there. And we're going to try to take, I think, a complex thing and really try to make it simple for you. But then how do you automate, scale and make the process repeatable so that it's actually smooth and working for you. So with that, I think then we'll just get right into it. Is that right, Frank? What says? Yeah. All right. So here's what we were talking about earlier about why do I need a digital client experience? It's not just for the obvious reason that you've heard probably too much, and I get it, whether it's like meet clients where they are, borrowers today are ordering food that arrives instantly, or man, you can order something on Amazon and it gets here nowadays in 6 hours. And so, customers are becoming more and more comfortable with being digital. Although that's true, that's not necessarily anymore the main reason why I want to have a digital client experience. I think what we ought to be considering, and why I think James and I have been really passionate about this over the last little while, is that where the puck is going, the old analogy from Gretzky, is that, look at even just in the last 2 years, how many more digital client brokerages are popping up and doing a good job. I mean, these people are investing. I mean, some of these people have raised millions of dollars in the capital markets to bring out a really smooth digital client experience. And there's more of them than there have been in the last 2 years, and there will be more coming. That's just what we know. It used to be that we used to call those the rate discounting sites. It's not even actually appropriate anymore. They're digital client mortgage brokerages. And they do a heck of a good job, and they create a great experience. And often they give good, better rates. That's some of their business models, but not all of them. All of them have the same interest rates that you do. They just provide a better client experience. And then what's even more important, we happen to know that this is true. We run a technology company, so we know this. The banks have been slow to come to this game, but that's not going to be the way it is forever. There are banks already right now that are working on and are coming out with really slick digital processes. I think some of them tried to do something a little early and maybe misstepped a little bit, but they're not going to make that same mistake again. And so if it's true that I'm going to be faced with a lot more of my competition are investing in creating a very smooth client experience, then as a mortgage broker, I'm not the one who's going to say, oh no, the sky is falling, mortgage brokers are in trouble. Not at all. Mortgage brokers will and always still have the main advantage that I can give advice and I have a personal one-on-one experience with the borrower. That is our main advantage that you all have. However, I believe that going into the next couple of years, if that's all I'm having, if I have this great, advisory and really great personal experience with the customers, but the process for them to get their mortgage is clunky and old-fashioned and painful, my customers have better choices available. They can go and get, a less personal experience, maybe a better rate, but a smooth, quick, auto-approved, done mortgage. That's going to be something that I'm going to have to compete against. And so that's why I think that making the decision today, if I haven't yet embraced digital mortgage process, some of you I'm sure have, and that's great. And maybe there's ways we can tweak it or make it better. But for those of you who haven't, and I know that this is true because there is a large portion of the current mortgage brokerage market that still uses a technology that's been around for 25 years, is pretty archaic, doesn't have a digital mortgage application, and doesn't have a borrower portal. So I know there are a lot of mortgage professionals who are currently not embracing or starting a digital mortgage process. And I think that that's a mistake. I think that it's now as if there are ever any signs, I need to be doing that. And I'll give you an example and bring in my friend James. James, I can remember a few years back, and you'll probably remember how many number of years, but I know it was quite a few years back. I want to say at least 4. And where we were having this conversation at that time, it was, oh boy, customers are going to start to go online to shop for mortgages. That was like, oh, this is the next new thing. This is where they're going. And so I remember you thinking, I've got to prep for that. And so you were like, at that time, made a commitment to really put a process in for Google reviews. And so how many Google reviews do you have now?
Just like 600 and some. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you started back then to make that decision. And now here you are. Tell us a little bit about why you did that and where that came from. And then what's the dividends that are paying off of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's paid huge dividends in that. And I'll say it started from a very similar seminar such as this, sitting, it actually was at Genworth at the time when Genworth was Genworth. And someone said, does anyone here want to get free leads from online? I thought, geez, okay. If you do 10 Google reviews, I guarantee you'll get a lead online. I thought, hell, everyone at the time was on our Blackberries. And I thought, why not? I'll try it. And sure enough, I was at 6 Google reviews and I got my first call. And it was a story I told myself that online leads are going to be all rate shoppers and horrible. And I said, screw it, I'll try it. And the first one was just, I Googled you, and this is kind of where I found you from. And then from there, I got addicted, right? And then the realization that the world was really very much about starting to date, right? Like, they're going to come to a site or someone's going to give our name, and they're going to Google you, no matter if it's your referral from your realtor, your financial planner, your buddy, your best friend, you're still going to Google. And they really want to try to see, I've come to develop, and God, I wish I could go back some years and shake myself to say, help give them and show them as much as you can as you're dating, if you will, of who you are, what you're about, give them the client and information and have them share that, and also help educate them. What is the process going to look like? What's it going to look like to work with me? Are you going to give me insights and lift up the hood so I can see what my next step is going to be? It removes then a lot of the anxiety that a client feels of what do I wait for next? And if anyone's gotten ever an email from a client that says, hey, do I know back? Or hey, what's the next step? That's your bing as far as, everything's my fault. It means you didn't give them that expectation as to what the next step is. And why it's so important, I think why it's so easy as well as a digital broker to be able to show, here's what our process is going to be. Here's what each next step is going to be, that there aren't going to be any bottlenecks along the way, and that you can keep going down this path and this journey. And here's us lifting up and showing you, like you say, under the hood as each step as you kind of go along. And we really encourage our clients to try to put that into their Google reviews. If we're responding to a Google review, hey, so glad you liked our digital process, that we could be impactful without being inconvenient, look forward to working together at your leisure in the future. So that's kind of from where our journey was from our first Google review to kind of where we're at now.
What's the dividends quickly? Like now, what are you paying off from having made that deciison years ago?
Yeah, the funniest part is, like, how do you get a dividend on something that costs you really nothing? Right. It's just been phenomenal to do nothing. And I mean, about a third of our business is from Google searches, right? When they
a third, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it allowed you to take a little bit less of a reliance on your realtor network that you had to use in the previous times.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone listening to this call says, no, James, I don't want people that search me and want to use me that way. I'd rather work with my realtors. But for me, it's slightly different. I really enjoy working with clients that are not from that side. And then it's a great opportunity as well to bring to your partners, realtors or financial planners or accountants, whomever you work with, teach them, teach them to look at their process, right? And I think, as you said, kind of, Greg, it comes back to sitting on the other side of the desk, right? Take a step on the other side. Pretend that you've just been dropped in a town or city in somewhere Canada, and you're looking for something. What's the first thing you're going to do? Probably going to Google it, or so you're going to ask someone. When they tell you that and they give you the name, what are you going to do? Probably going to Google it, right? You need to take. I think we often get so ingrained in our business that we forget. I'd like to say there's a desk here you can sit on the other side of. I'm working my home office now, but go onto that other side of the desk and take a walk in the shoes of your client. What's it look like from that very beginning initial standpoint? I think we're not off to do that. We get too stuck inside of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have something I caught on. I'm sure that you said something like, "Hey, if I could go back and tell my younger self something else." I'm sure there are other things you'd probably want to tell your younger self, but we'll just skip past
just
that.
A few things. Yeah. It turns out that. Yeah, turns out the puka shell necklaces and highlights weren't cool. Who knew? Yeah.
Okay, so what are we talking about when we say becoming a digital broker? Because here's what I think is one of the interesting things. James mentioned that, I would make up excuses to not do the thing that I know that I need to do. One of the things I always used to tell myself is that these are the lies that I tell myself to not have to do the hard work I knew that I need to do in order to get what I say I want. So if I want to have a prosperous and a growing mortgage brokerage business into the future, I'm going to have to face this. I'm going to have to join and get into a full digital mortgage process. And so none of the excuses really, I think, matter. And so one of the things I think that get in our way is like, oh my God, it's so complex. It's so many things. But really, we're only talking about, here, I'll just list a few of them and then we can chat a little bit. But I mean, it's online marketing, and there's, easy ways for us to do that. There's a digital mortgage application. It's no longer, just stop right there. It's just no longer able. I know somebody's going to say, well, no, when I take that 45-minute application over the phone with my customer, it's amazing and my customer bonds with me. No, I think my customer wants to grab a pen, stab it in their neck, and end this as fast as possible, because it's not a smooth process. It's a lie that I tell myself because I don't want to change my process. But so a digital application is important. Customers want to be, deal with it where they are at when they want to do it. I need a borrower portal. It's no longer acceptable anymore for me to have, email back and forth, 52 emails, going back and forth to explain to a customer. It's confusing. It's stressful. It's frustrating for the borrower.
It's unsecure.
And it's unsecure. You're right. It's really, really important. So, and I need a submission platform, not for the obvious reason that it makes it efficient for me and my business, but it allows me to get quicker responses. It allows me to get better responses from my lender so that I can get better and quicker responses to my borrower. I need a deal management system and or CRM. So James, I know in your case, still use Pipedrive because you like the deal management system part of it. So some people can say, Pipedrive also has CRM capabilities as well, but I think you focus on, I want this deal management system. So why don't you chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, and what I wanted to take a step back is really to think and is to, get to the very first step you're talking about from where we're Googling to client to getting your website. If you kind of have a website that is working for me when I'm not working, and anyone on this call right now, I want you to take a look at your website right now and ask yourself, do you have an educational website outlining the process from end to end, that what clients can expect from next step to next step, that can get them started right away, both on their submission of application and working and getting onto the document step? Or do you have a Fig Jam? And if you know what Fig Jam is, it stands for I'm good, just ask me. And I had a Fig Jam website for many years. And if you're sitting there with a very stationary, copy truncated from whatever your broker head office was to you, that talks about how good your brokerage is and how great you are and all those things, once you get done smacking your head and realizing like every phone call now I have is just repeating why you should now start working with me and explaining the process, that's a really great starting front. And if you're going to be using a technology, if you're not, you should be, help use your website to explain what that tech is, how they're going to start. Do simple videos saying, here's where you're going to apply. This is what it's going to look like for you to do your application. Once I do my application, what's next? Great question. Do another video on that, right? Once you're done your application, this will automate all the documents you're going to be needing. From there, we're going to have our team review those documents and to check off. That's where I want your website to be focusing on the digital front. That whole conversation, and I see this all the time, brokers saying, people are calling me on the phone. I want less phone calls. And I go to their website, the very thing I see on the top is their phone number. If you don't want people to be calling you, then get your fucking phone number off the very top and outline your process and how you've injected tech to get you to that and what they should be doing as their next steps. Just got to get that off the chest. I've seen that way too much. You've got great tech. You've got great options. Brag about it. Teach them, show them, help them to know. How the hell will they know unless you show them? So I really just want to get that off my chest. And then, from an internal standpoint, Pipedrive we love on it. It's a workflow for us, an internal team. It helps it, we make the joke, but I want it to be Loewen mortgages. I want it as a Mick brokerage so that anything that's good should be repeatable, right? I could probably jump into McDonald's, having never made a burger there in my life, and watch all the different things and figure it out pretty quickly. And so I want that interjection as well in our team. So they're moving it from column to column. It all does the same things. People ask me all the time, like, what's your automation? What's all your Zapier integrations? The answer is a hell of a lot less than you probably think it is. We went from a hyper automation back to a really human moment. When we respond to someone's birthday or something like that, we want to be to a thread that we had. So I love the automation side. There's lots of people who can do it really well. I want that to be the human moment. And the human moment is kind of, I found, getting a little bit rarer. So that's a bit of us on that side. We still do have the human moment. It doesn't mean we don't use tech to communicate, but we are still making out a human comment, right? Hopefully your dog's doing well. Hopefully Sally's, okay, whatever it might be, is a human moment.
Yeah, I agree. And so here's what I hear a lot with mortgage professionals to get stuck on, because I listed all these things that need to be done. Oh my goodness, it's so overwhelming. There's so much to do. And I can't start until I figure it all out, or until it's perfect. And that's really not actually the truth. And particularly with Finmo, we've created it such that they're all connected. So your Finmo talks to your Pipedrive, can talk back, and you can talk to your CRM, whatever it might be. Don't overcomplicate it. Start with something simple, particularly with CRM. What's the best CRM? It's the one that you're going to use. And the one that you're going to use is the one that's simple, especially in the beginning. And so I agree with James. I prefer Pipedrive, always have, because it's the client experience. I run a deal market, the flow, and my CRM is just post-marketing, post-client care, information. I know people can make it whiz bang and do everything, and wash your car and wash the dishes and do everything. I get it, but it's not that important. Think about the borrower first. What's the borrower's experience? And while I'm on it, just for the love of everything, stop sending clients emails about, don't forget to change the batteries in your smoke detector or something like that. Like, just stop.
I see another email about daylight savings time. This thing does it for you. God damn it. You don't need to go manually set your clocks. You're not adding value. And I bet there's someone out there going, oh, I need to update my website. That's right. I need to update my website. If I was to start this over, I probably wouldn't even do a website. And if you're thinking I need to update my website, go to your Google page. That's probably going to show up first, and use that as your area to put your links. Even your Finmo application, literally a great area to update Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Do that in the interim. Use that as a directional website.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about communication systems, because as a digital mortgage broker, the old school ways and things that we used to do, or still some people may still be doing in terms of communicating, I know you've built a really slick process. So what are the communication systems that we should be thinking about as a digital mortgage professional?
We got to think hierarchy. We got to think, what is the hierarchical standing? And I think that we're so used to being people that we email. I mean, I'm sure everyone on this phone call, this webinar has checked their emails 16 times in the 20 minutes we've been on. Clients don't necessarily check emails that much unless they're computer nerds like we are. Text will reign supreme. I even see people now texting to see if they can call first. So you should be calling than texting. Texting is by far the highest one. If your email doesn't have, by the way, you can also text this number. If your business number doesn't have a textability, well, there's your first problem right there. If your platform for application and communication is not, while sending an email, simultaneously sending a text to notify them and to direct them, you're missing out. You're not getting your captive audience. So where do your clients, I challenge you right now to send an email and a text to your clients. Which one do you think they're going to respond to, right? 10 out of 10 of them are going to reply to the text much faster than the email. If you know that, then why the hell are you emailing them as an onboard? So if your communication platform doesn't integrate to have that through, whether it's Twilio, Call Central, Ring Central, Finmo, which has that built right in, it is always the highest and fastest. And we love doing that. Especially when you get a lead, hey, great speaking with you. By the way, I'm already on the phone with you right now. I've already got your cell phone, which I'm speaking with, your email. I've actually already started your application for you. So I'm not even going to ask you to start your application. The difference between good and great is about that much. So while we're actually on the phone, you probably felt a vibration. That's me texting you to let you know your application's already begun. And you're just going to have to continue from there. That's our difference. That's how we communicate. Most clients just like, okay, I guess we're already underway. Right. So I'm not asking you to take the first step. I've already done that for you. My team has. I'm asking you to continue going. This is how we hold your hand. And right from the get-go, we're setting the stage as to how we operate and setting that platform to be one step above.
Yeah, that's great. You know what? The thing I really want to pound home is that when I'm thinking about optimizing my business going forward now, it's what I used to call third generation selling. So I'm thinking about the borrower. So when I make a change, or I'm thinking about, like what James is saying, I'm going to invest in a system that will allow me to text message, so I don't have to use my personal phone all the time, maybe, or whatever the case may be. So, why is that important? Well, it's better for me, sure, but it's more importantly, it's better for the borrower. So another example is, I think that my sales process, I'm not going to go into a detail here, but stay tuned at the end for the surprise. But my discovery call process, James, you were just touching on that. Whereas some people would think this can't seem believable, but when I used to coach mortgage brokers, we went through this lots of times, where that first interaction with your borrower, like the first time you ever chat with them, 15 minutes ish max, and you're like, oh my God, how can that be? Like, I can't convince them they should use me, and I can't do the sales pitch, and I've seen mortgage brokers in my offices in the old days where, keep the borrower on the phone for an hour going through stuff. And it's like, oh man, it's just wrong. It's just because if I'm thinking about the borrower, I mean, a borrower does not want to, 15 minutes is like maximum attention span necessarily in today's weird world that we live in. And so, I can get what I need to put across, which is, this is why it's going to be important to deal with us. James talked about it. Here's what I'm going to do for you. And I'm going to chat about this later in another session where we talk about the discovery call. But it sets the stage for the next part, which is borrower engagement. At Lendesk, one of the things that we do is we obsess about borrower engagement. It comes from our parent company. It's something that we've really focused on. And it's a similar thing. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm harping on it for you, because we think about borrower engagement. We're designing a technology platform. I think I want the mortgage professionals to be thinking primarily about borrower engagement. Why is that important? Why did I say earlier? Because people have options. And they're getting to be really good options. And so if I can then keep my borrower engaged and keep them through the process, and we've designed things inside Finmo that we're going to share a few of those tidbits now, where we show, and it's important to highlight why that borrower engagement is so important. And it starts even with your first digital mortgage application. Here's something I would encourage you to do. If those of you who are currently not yet moved into a digital mortgage process, then you're considering it, then, this idea that I'm like, oh, I'm going to pick the platform that my brokerage tells me I got to pick, or that, what my friends told me, sure, getting referrals is a great idea. But the number one thing I think you ought to do is go through each of the various options that are available to you for a digital mortgage application, and go through it yourself as a borrower, and see it from the borrower's eyes. And because you're understand what's happening in the process, you're going to see the little pieces, the little important things. Like James said, the difference between good and great is just a small piece. But also, more importantly, ask your friends and family to go through it. Get 10 of them. Say, I'm going to send you a link. I want you to go through this and pretend you were getting a mortgage with me. And I want you to tell me what each one was like. Give them 3 or 4 options. They're your friends. You can buy them a case of beer or whatever. They're your family. They'll do their job for you. Say, I really need you to do this, because I need to understand what is the best one for that. And so, Frank, let's show a little bit about that. So in terms of what I was saying on the digital mortgage application, you're going to figure out the one that you think is best for you, borrowers and everything else. But as we talk about, one of the biggest innovations about borrower engagement, almost every other mortgage application that's available, around now, has some version of the borrower has to do an application. And if it's at all clunky, if it all asks me questions that I don't know the answers to, or if it asks me questions that aren't relative to me, which shockingly, like it's still today, we see applications where you're asking me a question that's not related to me. I told you I was self-employed. Why are you asking me how much my hourly rate is? So like, these are important things to really understand to keep the borrower flowing. But every other application that's available out there, once I press submit on the application, the borrower's done the job that they're doing, it says some version of, thanks for your application, we'll get back to you. Well, now there's the problem. The borrower's now blocked. The borrower doesn't know what's next. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I want to buy this house. I need this thing. Why is this person not called me? Why do I not know anything? It might take an hour. It might take 6 hours. It might take a day before you actually get back to that person with the next piece. What do you think that person is doing besides fretting? And they might then go, well, geez, maybe I should talk to that mortgage broker that my realtor said, or maybe I should go online and Google mortgage rates. Maybe I should go see what my bank's doing. Because when you leave the borrower to their own devices and they're scared and they're nervous, that's what they're going to do. And I'm already starting with the problem that I've invited some competition in. So what's important in the way Finmo does it is when you get to the part where you're submitting, and I've got the application ready. And what we built, and we were the first and still only that's done it this way, is that once I press submit on this application, it's automatically going to tell the borrower what are the next documents that they're going to need to do. So go ahead, Frank, and push that. And there you go, boom. As instant as that, it tells you the documents that the borrower is going to need. Why is that important? Well, it's what I just told you. The borrower is no longer blocked. The borrower's like, oh, good, I know what I got to do next. And they want to keep the process going. And this is the secret psychological thing that just happens. The borrower's going to start sending you the documents, and the borrower's now made a psychological commitment to work with you because they've shared their documents with you. And the reason why they shared their documents with you is because you made it easy. And not only did you make it easy, you made it smart. So here's what we learned. And we learned that borrowers actually go and get all the documents they need when they're filling out the application. We found out that borrowers are actually more nervous about answering a question wrong than they are to just guess. So they actually go get all the documents. And so then they have all the documents in front of them. They can take a picture with their phone. They could be doing the application on their phone. We get a lot of that. And then they could be taking a picture with their phone, or they have a drag and drop from their website, or they can upload from somewhere else. And they're keeping the ball moving down the field. So for them, that's important. But for you, it's also really important because, James, I know you love smart docs. I mean, how important is it that you get all the documents in and the application and a consent to pull credit before you've actually had a sales conversation?
I mean, we don't meet with people. I saw someone ask a question. There's when do you get more applications you do by phone? So what that's is a nice trigger for me to be like, or if someone's like, I don't really want to give any documents until I talk with you, until I can see your offers. You're getting a non-committal person that's probably just rate shopping the shit out of you. And so that's a really good trigger to me, because if I have a client coming to me, how preposterous would it have been if when I went in to get some dental work done yesterday, that I sat down with the dentist and said, actually, I think you should do your job like this. I don't know jack shit about how to do dental work, but I think this is how your job should be done. Whoa, which one of us is a professional here, right? So this is a really good area and a filter for us to find out, are you serious about working with us, and are you doing and operating the way that we do our business? Mr. Client, you've seen 630 Google reviews. I want you to be 631. The way those 630 got there is by following our process end to end. We can guarantee a smooth and efficient process. It's repeatable. If you try to deviate from that and you want to work it a different way, probably not the brokerage for you. I wish you the absolute best and take care. So it's a really great way I find to have a filter. It's also awesome. Friday night, someone goes to my website and starts their application. And Monday, I sit on my desk and we've got all documents and all application. And I can actually underwrite your mortgage. we won't do a lender comparison or pre-approval or review anything until we have 100% complete docs. It's our guideline. Surprises are great on birthdays, but not in financials. And I mean, sadly, we find men tend to over-exaggerate just a smidgen as to how much they earn. So this is a good way of making sure they're not measuring from a different location as to how much they earn.
Okay. So Frank, let's show doc reminders now. I mean, that's another important part. I'll let you take that and then I'll jump back in.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So yeah, it's pretty been mentioned, right? How important it is for your client to be able to interact in a modern way. And that includes the way you guys communicate back to your client. So it's not just the initial step, but it's that continuous touch point with your client to keep holding their hand throughout the process. So the first part, we've seen the automation of how the document list, for example, would be set up and presented to your client right as they start the submission process or the application process with you. But the follow-up now, if you have an automated process, it's also really great for your client. And here's going to be just a few things been touched on previously. But first, how to follow up with your client. So you're able to set up automatic reminders that would be firing up a reminder for your client to send you the documents. So long gone are the days of sending an email where you tell them everything that they need to do and then remember that you have to get back to them because they haven't necessarily sent you everything, and then review where you're at in the process and clean up your document list. So now in our case, we've automated that by setting up the reminder. We choose at which frequency the reminder is going to go off. And it's also linked with where things are at in the process. So again, with keeping in mind where the client is at, is that the automatic reminder will scan what document have been submitted by your client and which ones still need to be requested. So you're not just sending the full list every time for your client to remember, oh, did I send that one and not this one? We will take care of that for you. In fact, technology is going to take care of that for you. Now, once this gets sent out as well, something else has been touched upon is how to keep your client updated. And we've mentioned the SMS. It cannot be understated. Everybody has their phone on them 24/7 now. It's the modern way of doing things. You shop online, you watch your friends online, you have everything in the palm of your hand. And an update from your mortgage professional should fall into that and not force the client to stop what they do, move on to a computer, find out what they should be doing. It should be right there for them to be able to action right away. And so we've incorporated that into the system that you're using for your business so that what makes sense for your clients and your business work together in this case here. Now, can throw it back to you, Greg, or if you wanted me to go in more depth, other elements.
Thanks. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, the importance of the doc reminders is certainly there's a mortgage professional efficiency here. If in a non-digital mortgage brokerage world, I have to manually be thinking about all the applications I've got currently on the go, or if I have an underwriter that works with me, and I have to think, did I remind about the Smiths? Oh, shoot. When did I send a message to the Joneses? Oh, crap. You know what? I haven't seen anything from the Mitchells. Like it's preposterous. It's mind-boggling for my staff, but more importantly, back to borrower engagement. A digital mortgage process, your competitors are going to make it super easy for the clients to be able to just put in their documents and know where they're at. Now, remember, because they're using a secure borrower portal, they know what documents they still need to do. I don't have to keep reminding them, but people are people. And so, whereas the system does that all for me, imagine in my office, if I've got 20 applications on the go, or 10 or 30, doesn't matter. And I don't ever have to worry again about having to make a manual update to go to the borrower. What if the system just did that for me? That's really important. And it gives a better borrower experience. Okay, Frank, let's talk about how we can show the compare. I know, James, you use a different system, and that's, but the point is that one of the things I said in the discovery call, one of the things that I really at the top of the hour, I said, one of the ways that I still as a mortgage professional have the advantage over a digital mortgage process or a bank is that I have that advisory and I have the personal touch. And so those are things I can really just embrace. I'll always have those. But in terms of advisory, like we're a mortgage broker. What does actually that mean? So it means that I have access to multiple options. And so in my discovery call, and one of the reasons why you want to work with me, Mr. and Mrs. Client, is that I have options. Excuse me. And I'm going to do an exhaustive research of the market. Pardon me. Frank's going to show you how exhaustive and how quick this happens, but I'm going to do an exhaustive research of the market. And then I'm going to present to you the 5 best choices that you could have in that, for you to be able to, and then I'm going to present those to you. And I'm going to show you why one is better than the other or whatever. And people like that. Why wouldn't they like that? Instead, most of my competition gave me one choice, didn't explain why I should pick that choice, and didn't explain why I should even have that rate. Why, as a mortgage broker, would I not present multiple options, particularly if it's as simple as this? Frank, go and show them how easy it is.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So in this case, what we have here is we simply have an application that obviously have the information of what we're going to ask of the lender. And now we'd be able to say, hey, let's find the product that's best for my client. And this directly links to Spotlight. So it's a database of all the different rates and policies that we have of our lender. And so obviously we're able to set up exactly our scenario on the left-hand side and to be able to find a product that would match that client. What we've done to take it a step further, and what Greg has been talking about in terms of comparing, is that each of those available products can be set side by side, and then we can find the pros and cons and present those to our client. At a click of a button, you're able to choose which of the product you'd like to compare. Simply tell the system, for example, to let us know of those options, have the breakdown of the different criteria to meet those products, but also the different major policy of those lenders, which is the fine prints, right? That's going to determine if something is really advantageous for your client, if they qualify to begin with to that option. And now once you're able to review this at a quick glance, just how easy and quick this can be for you to get back to your clients with information. And so instead of having a long period of time to do that research, you're able to do it quickly so that right away your client knows what the next step is, and they have a better experience working with you in that regard. At a quick glance, you're able to create a report as well to present to your client, and you're able to tailor it, give a message that you'd like to your client, and really narrow down to what's core value to your client, again, with the added benefits of making it custom for them. So if in this case, a rental income is an important component and they want to be made aware of penalties, for example, you'd be able to generate a report, and you have something very tangible to showcase your client, where they'd be able to have the breakdown of how the different products are matching their application, and then having the breakdown with the policies that follows afterwards. So you're able to show, if something is better, you're able to give your advice at this point in time and showcase the work that you've done with your client. It builds trust, and it showcases really why they should do business with you. It's like, look at what the work I'm doing for you. So you're able to maximize this with the use of technology here. Then you're able to simply come back and complete in the direction that you want to go with your client, right?
Yeah, that's so great. Thanks, James. I'm going to tee this one because you're the pro at this for sure. So once I now have my compare, because that's the thing I promised. That's actually the biggest thing I promised when I said you should choose us and start the application. And I know you've got some really cool ways about how you then present this through Loom and everything else. So, take it from here. Now, this is it. This is where I'm really going to close the customer down. And we've done it all through a digital process. Explain how you do the looms and all that, because
I think one of the big fundamentals too that we have to agree and set the stage for up front is, Mr. Client, you probably reached out to me because you're looking for a mortgage, you want to shop. So what I really want to be hammering forward and hammering through and outlining again on my website, I want to be outlining and educating this is I'm going to shop for you. Okay, so Mr. Client, you're doing your application here. The great news is I'm going to show you all the different lender options. I'm going to have you as if you're sitting in all the different banks. You no longer need to do that. And I think we're short-sighted. I'm just going to call it ignorant to think that clients aren't going to shop. And if you're not showing them that you're shopping for them, they're going to then shop elsewhere. So if you're not doing this customer report, we usually do 4 or 5 different lender options in a report to show them we've got your gas station coffee, we got your McDonald's, Tim Hortons, I don't know where they stand. We got your Starbucks and then some. And it's not necessarily, everyone's not a Starbucks, everyone's not a gas station coffee, but I'll show you we've got the cheap to the expensive. So you don't have to try to shop. And I'm going to teach you to shop and evaluate each lender like a mortgage broker. Rate is just one of 12 different categories we're going to go through with you. And I know you're probably sitting there going, Jesus, what's the 11 other? Great question. I hope you have that question. I'm going to walk you through that. And this is how our report's going to use that for you to show you the pros and cons. That cheap might be good for some people, but that might screw you long run if you have varying needs. So, just like when you go to a car lot, and you're probably not saying, what's the cheapest thing you've got here? Well, we don't all drive 1989, Dodge K cars for a reason. Well, it's the cheapest. Why the hell don't we drive that? Well, this is what that report's going to help you to do. So from here, what we find is in psychology that most people remember, and even probably on this call, people remember about 20-ish% of what you say. That's not going to get you a pass in most any exam. That's only 1 out of 5 things. So what we find and what we do is either using Zoom calls like this, or we'll use Loom, is to go through and show them how to use the report. Some people have a standardized video that they use. Again, I think this is an opportunity for a human moment. It takes us about 11 minutes to do one, is to really show them and how they're qualifying, each lender, the pros and cons on prepayments and breakage fees and all those things. And it's also an area, we've said to our clients, Mr. Client, I could meet you in person. I could go through this with you in person, but why would I take away from you 80% of the value of what we've discussed and gone through? So instead, why don't I do a video for you? You can now pause, rewind, rewatch. If your partner is unable to join at the time, now you can watch in convenience, and this becomes a reference video for you. And then the beautiful part with Loom is every time they go into that Loom, we get an email saying, oh, they've just watched that Loom. A great opportunity for you as a broker to go, hey guys, just checking in, any questions? They're like, you must have ESP. We were just looking at this damn report from you right now. We're great on here. And so it's one of those areas where I think we sometimes as brokers tell ourselves a story that I'm giving them a lesser service. I'm giving them a lesser option. And maybe you're wrong. Maybe it's completely the other way. Maybe you need to position it that I could meet you in person, but that's actually a lesser experience. I want to give you the most. I want to give you more. I want to be from good. I want to be to great. And so that's where we really use those. And if you don't believe me, beta test it. Next time you're about to do a signing package, next time you're about to do any type of meeting where you say to the client, you can come and drive. You can drive your half hour. You and your kids can come and destroy my office. You can be hungry. You can be cranky. You can be tired. But you can forget 4/5 of what I said, and then you can go home. That's an option. Or I want to do a reference video that you can pause, rewind, and watch at any different time and share with you if your dad or mother or someone wants to take a look at what you're doing and why you're doing it. How about how's that as another option? Guess which one they're going to take? I know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you cut on something. It's like people tell themselves this story about, oh, wow, if I can make a better personal connection if they come in and see me live and in person. And I think that's changed. Not just for the reasons that James said, although those are all true. It's just the reality is people are busy and people's minds are busy. Like you can barely keep their attention, and then like a squirrel runs by, or you know what, the Netflix just started up, so I'm going to go watch that, or a notification came up and now I'm on Instagram. Like this is the world we live in. And so people don't want, so if I'm thinking about my borrower experience, I actually want to make this simple. James just said 11 minutes and boom, done. And so, and I know you do that with closing packages too. So tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about that.
It used to be our onboarding, our initial meetings were about an hour-ish, and then there was phone calls and emails between. Signing packages would at least take an hour, and just too inconvenient. So same thing. I mean, I think it's an opportunity, again, to be impactful without being inconvenient. I'm going to be sending you all the documents in whatever signing tech I use. So don't worry about screwing it up. There's not a chance of God's green earth you can send it back to me without hitting every single one I need to be done. So we use a signing tech to make sure accuracy and execution to be perfect. Okay, so this is your benefit on that side. That's why we don't do in person. Makes sense to me. You'll also get a digital copy because you're probably going to be moving, or you just forget and leave your paperwork documents everywhere. This way you're going to have a digital version you're always going to be able to get a hold of, and we'll also have a digital copy. So if you lose it, we'll send you another one. Sound good? It's great. Now, same thing, Mr. Client, remember how we did that pre-approval and the comparison on a video that you used as reference, and I can see you watched 26 times? Why would we do something different when it comes to your signing package? We already know it's the better way. We're now going to do a Loom video walking you through your signing package, and we're going to walk you through it page by page. This way, again, you can pause, rewind, rewatch. Your partner doesn't have to be with you in order to do it. And it's a great opportunity for you as well to be outlining things like, hey, did you notice on your disclosure to borrower that there's no broker fee sitting there? Well, the reason's twofold. One, I'm not charging you anything. And I agreed many years ago to not charge my clients as long as you do two things for me. One is a Google review, so I can help more people like you. You can find me online. And two, as long as you give me someone as a referral. So think about your friends, your family, anyone right now. And I want you to pause this video and just send an email intro. Hey guys, anyone got a mortgage coming up for renewal the next year or two? I've got a great mortgage broker. And I'll just connect from there and make sure I put it in all diarized to take over. What a great gift you can give your friends and family this year. So it's a great opportunity to go through and interject and really refine your process and be done. And we find our signing packages are about 12 to 14 minutes. I like metrics and studying this a hell of a lot better than an hour. And it's funny to always see how many times they get rewatched and how few questions you have afterwards because they can go back. And I always love that. Hey, I got a question on there. I'm like, well, that's weird. It was at 3 minutes and 12 seconds that we went through this. And I can see how many views we have is 0. Go watch that video, you schmuck. So I can call out some people on not actually having watched the video. And it's a great compliance standpoint too. If for whatever reason you find yourself in front of an issue of compliance and you can show a video where, we've been sought as saying like, just because a client initials or signs something doesn't mean you've completed your due diligence. Well, if you have a video also walking them through, now you've done your due diligence. You'll cover your ass.
Okay, great. So as an eye toward the time, I think what we're going to do now is talk about that surprise that we were mentioning at the top of the hour, and then we're going to handle some Q&A. So I want to get the surprise out in case people have to jump and keep, respect your time. We're close to when we said we would be. But if you want to stay, we're going to answer the questions and all of that and go through it. So Frank, if you want to bring up that slide with the link, then we can. So here's what we've been thinking about. James and I and Christina, we got together and we were like, okay, how can we make this, how can we even bring this into a better thing? And so we're interested in this idea of creating a master class where it'll be more like a half day, more and lots of more speakers and more providers and people coming in to talk about, remember I said there was like those 60 pieces of the digital mortgage process. So we'll bring in the people to talk about how they do this CRM. We'll bring in people to talk about their deal management system. We'll talk about the submission platform experience, and we'll talk about, online marketing, everything. So all of these things, kind of like the old way of going to a conference, whatever, we'll just try to put it in here. But we need to see if this is of need and if there's interest. And so you can see a link on the screen. Go do it now if you like, and or also we'll send it by email to all the registrants as well. But if you're interested in, I'd love to see a much more, deeper dive, the discovery sales process, how we do those Loom videos, how do you explain the compare and shares, all of that. So we're going to go into a lot more detail on each one of those sections. So free of charge, of course. And so if there's interest, then, please let us know, because if there's not, that's okay too. We don't want to just, spend resources and time to build something if people don't find any value in that. So, all right. So Christina, with that, let's move to questions.
Yes, absolutely. We've got a few great ones coming through. Just a reminder, put them in the Q&A if you are able to. We will try and ensure every question is answered. If we can't do it on this live webinar, we'll be following up with you for sure. So we actually had a couple questions come through by email before the webinar, and a great one from Russ. What are the common target markets mortgage brokers should be establishing relationships with? And Russ gives the example of realtors, past clients, lawyers, and then goes on to say, who do you recommend and why?
James, you want to take it first?
Yeah, I mean, who do you like to work with? That's, I think, got to be the question. When I'm trying to operate my business, I try to take, what am I good at? What do I love doing? And I try to find that intersection, and that little hole in the center is where I love. I love existing clients. I've already got a rapport. I trust with them. They already know how much I swear, and they can put up with that. That's what I love, right? Financial planners. I have a background. I was a financial planner, so I'm pretty savvy on that side. So I love creating plans and I love wealth building. So financial planners, I love them. Accountants, I've got a minor in accounting. So, I'm a nerd when it comes to numbers. And I really, if you're someone that loves alternative and B lending and stated income, I think, accountants can be really great as a resource. If you can come to them, as a someone to say like, listen, I'm someone who can provide approvals on stated income, or clients that have been self-employed for 2 years. If you love realtors, then you want direct to consumer. Realtors are pretty much probably gonna be your best option, right? I think those are all really phenomenal aspects to gain from. I've seen lots of people doing well on social media things, on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you want to go that way, really trying to focus on a push, not a pull, not a push. So giving information, giving education, right? Instead of trying to pull people to contact you. So I think your good question to ask yourself is, who do you like working with? Whatever that answer might be, then focus on that market, on that target. If you don't like B clients, or you don't like private lending, then don't focus on that, right? So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I would say I'll add one thing. One's traditional, one's new. I've been saying this for my entire career, whereas like particularly depending on where you are in your business. But if I'm relatively new in the business, there's only one place that I ought to spend most of my time in my opinion, and that's realtors. I know your broker's going to tell you something different. I know your trainer's probably going to tell you something different. Oh, you should go do this, you should go do. But realtors, here's the deal. There's deals in that building over there every single day, 365 days a year, probably even on Christmas Day. There are deals in that building, and that's how I build and grow my business and grow the core of my business. Then I can add on the other pieces. That's what I think. Now, I happen to have always liked working with realtors, so I just always did that. But not everybody does. And I would say the new way is online. James talked about, like, I can certainly do a social thing. But you know what? I don't even think it's that bad anymore to buy leads. If you can create a digital process, and you can create a process that can get those things happening really slick. I know that that's challenging, but I also know that it can be rewarding. So it's another way that you might consider. So Christina, let's go next question.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love the point about realtors, because the next question came in from Christopher, touching on that a bit. Can you provide a few examples of sales pitches to realtors in person and email? And Greg, the first thing that pops to mind with that is, I wonder if that's its own module in the sales mastermind class.
I was just going to say, Christopher, hey, Christopher, I know this is going to sound really bad, but I don't know that we want to go into a whole, there's just so much, there's great things, but it's a good idea. Come join the master class. You know what? We'll add that into that, because I think, I've been doing it for 30 years, and I definitely can help with in terms of what things we could say. James, I know, has been wicked with realtors as well. So we'll put that on there for sure. That's just a big topic. Let's go on to that.
Renee wrote in, my brokerage won't let me use Finmo. Can you recommend a brokerage for new agents that will show us how to use this seamless process?
Well, yeah.
Mind. I could recommend a good flamethrower. I think is a good option.
Certainly we can. We'll probably take that offline, but I would say this. Anybody, listen, it's no secret that we've had some battles of our own in the marketplace. It's 2022. There just should never, ever be a way that somebody tells me how I should run my business. Why the hell did I get in this business in the first place? So that somebody else can tell me how I do it? It's a mind blower. Just don't accept it. There's too many good options out there that are probably maybe even better priced for you, and certainly have more options and be open and available to whatever you want.
You have to ask the why. Ask why, right? And like, are they forcing you to choose, like, is this the CRM I have to use? Is this the email backend server? If you can find the best of the best in each one of those categories to fit your needs and run your best business, and they're trying to stop you from running the best business you can, why? Why would a brokerage, if your role is to support me, educate me, train me, and help facilitate me to be successful, and you're tying a hand behind my back, why are you doing that? How is that helpful for me?
Yeah. Follow the money, ask questions. Why are you not, why is there money being paid to you for me to use a different system? That, it's worth asking the question. Okay. Great. Christina, let's go.
James, this question came through while you were talking about being on the phone with a client and their phone buzzing with the text. And the question is, do you think there is more relational value to a text or a call? What do your clients appreciate or connect with more?
I think the answer is both, right? And trying to help them, to let them know that, that a call is available if we want, but that text is also. And I think sometimes people don't want to call, right? And giving them the open option that they can also text you. some things are quicker and just done by text. I think after you're doing 3 or so back and forths on a text, there's some type of miscommunication or a disconnect, in which case then our team and I, we all trained to jump on the phone. You know, the Looms, like, you know, even responding to emails with clients, we use Looms for everything. It's, I type extremely quick. I think I'm around 70 words a minute. You see how fast I speak? I speak way faster than 70 words a minute. So for me to click start, speak, and hit stop to do a customized one where they see my ugly face, you know, use that to your advantage to create a connection. You haven't gotten a call. You already did that whatever time of the day that you want, right? For me, I'm self-employed because of freedom. So if I'm free to answer that at any time of the day and give a video that's customized, which is next level to any banker or broker, I think that's a win, right? So I'm now more efficient, create a better bond, and I'm still free to do it whenever the hell I want.
Love that answer. Thank you.
I saw in the chat, somebody asked, it's a good point, just about the previous question, that the way Scotia sets up, and then that's a valid point, but it's still not an excuse. If my brokerage can't figure out to talk to Scotia or figure out, all they have to do is get their submission agent onto Finmo, or whatever the case may be. If they can't figure that out, it's not a good enough reason for me to say, and it blocks me from using the technology that I want to use. Again, I might want to consider looking to other brokerages that don't have those issues, because there are many.
If hundreds and hundreds of brokerages are doing it,
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brokerages
it begs the
doing
question.
and your brokerage can too. Okay, Christina, back on.
Okay, let's get a couple more in. Kevin wrote in a technology question. Is there any technology through which we could match the requirements of our clients with the exact product that is best for our client? So the find products button in Finmo comes to mind for me, Greg. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we showed that on the when we did it fast, but essentially the way that lender spotlight connection works with Finmo is when Frank showed the find available products, it takes all of the things in the application, like the beacon score, the loan to values, like what else is there? A whole bunch of different filters, and it creates that filter set for you. So then the deals that you're seeing from those lenders are specific that would do the actual deal. And so we built it that way, and it's really, really slick. And even though, as an experienced mortgage professional myself, and same with James, I mean, I have lenders that I mostly go to, and I know what their rates are. I still go because it's so easy now in Finmo. I just push the button just as a double check. Is there one that I maybe don't know about? Is there a different rate out there that I missed? Because I mean, how many people love getting 1,000 rate emails from all the various lenders and trying to figure out where I'm going to put all of that? I can just push one button and find out the rates that are specific for that client's mortgage. So,
and we're going to go in more depth in the master class as well, guys, on how to wield this, and another option as well for you to really hammer in the types of questions you'd be asking your client, to direct them down there, to show them, where they really want to go, right? What are those 11 other criteria outside of rate? So, just keep in mind, like, that's a great option, a great question. What we're going to be hammering into deeper on that deep dive.
Okay, cool. Christina, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, we have one more, and just another note to everyone: if your question isn't being answered, make sure it was in the Q&A, not the chat. If it's in the Q&A, we will follow up with you directly and make sure that we get it answered. But the last question, Greg and James, I think you can both speak to this, but Greg especially, it's from Christine, and she's researched a few digital application processes, and she's curious if we know how Finmo is different than Velocity.
Try them both. Like, go sit on the other side of your desk. Go sit on the other side of your desk, try both of them, and then you call me back and you tell me which one you prefer. I'll buy you a steak here.
That was the same thing I was going to say. It was kind of a little bit like somebody just teed the ball up. But you know what? The truth, I mean, I'm joking, but the truth is that, yeah, try them both, and then have 5 to 10 of your friends and family try them both. Now, I will say that the main difference is the borrower portal. And there's a difference. You can't call it a borrower portal if all I really do is send a link for the borrowers to upload their documents, because it's not that as a borrower, I don't see the progress of my deal happening, and I don't see the reminders that Frank was showing earlier, and I don't see that the smart documents that happen on the application that happen at the same time. So I think those would be the main difference from a borrower's experience. but the best advice, you just go do it from the eyes of your borrower. Pick the one that you think is best for the borrower.
That's great advice. Okay, we're at the top of the hour and I'm just cognizant of everyone's time. Many questions about the recording. It'll be sent out. It'll be in your inboxes. You don't need to do anything. We'll be following up with anyone who had questions, but when the email goes out tomorrow, feel free to respond to it with any other questions you might have. Make sure you sign up and just express interest in the mastermind class. You're not committing to anything. You're just saying you want to learn more. So yeah, Greg, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, I guess, thank you very much. I mean, we love doing these. I mean, listen to our podcast. James swears a lot more on the podcast, but listen to our podcast. We love it. We appreciate you. I know we've had a few weeks off, but we're just sort of retooling new guests and things like that. So we'll welcome you there. Have some fun wherever you listen to your podcast. And James, my friend, thank you very much for joining us. Frank, you were awesome, and thank you for being with us. And Christina, you kept us all together, like always. So thank you to you as well, and thank you to everybody that joined. Bye for now.